Please feel free to enter any comments into the chat box at any time, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. We'll be recording this webinar, and we will share it with the users in case there are folks who have missed today's session or anyone needs a refresher later on. I know many of you, but for those I don't, my name is Christy Shields, and I'm the manager of our corporate accounts team. Up to this point, your point of contact has been your NSF account manager, Nicole Perez. Since we've got a group of Federal Mogul team on the phone or who will be viewing this webinar, we wanted to take the opportunity to introduce you to your new account manager, Lydia Beardsley. Lydia comes to NSF with a background in excellent customer service and is really looking forward to working with you all. So you'll start to see her emails and communications coming through. And Nicole isn't going anywhere. She's still with our corporate accounts team and will be able to provide any assistance on historical information as needed. So again, thank you for joining us. We're really excited to bring you a clean, new look and feel to NSF Online. Diane Blankenship, Federal Mogul's very own Diane Blankenship, was really instrumental in helping us test out this new system and provide a lot of feedback. She's been a daily user of NSF Online, and we thought it best that we kind of get her take on the new system. So she's been able to provide input, and we've done a few redesigns based on that. So thank you very much, Diane, for that assistance. Starting this Friday, we'll see a new landing page to NSF Online. So that will look like this new screen here, a little bit more colorful than we're used to. So starting this Friday, we will see this, and all Federal Mogul active users will be set up and able to access the new NSF Online 2.0. So this awesome feature will also be available on Google Play and App Store, so you can access it via mobile devices. One of the really cool things with our transition is that we will still be able to access the classic version of NSF Online. So you can see here, we will be able to kind of switch back and forth between the new NSF Online and the classic version NSF Online, really just because people are very comfortable with the old NSF Online, and change can always be a transition, so we're kind of helping that transition. So once we log in, it'll direct us to the new NSF Online, but if you're more comfortable with the old version for a few months, we'll still have access to that version, so you can find the things there. At any time, of course, if you have questions with the new NSF Online, please contact your new account manager, Lydia Beardsley, or myself, Christy Shields, and I'll provide contact information for you as well. So now we're going to get started with some of the features that NSF Online has to offer. And again, if you have questions, please let us know at the end. We'll unmute you at the end, and also please feel free to include them in the chat box so you don't forget. This is the typical landing page for a corporate user for NSF Online 2.0. So you can see it's got a nice, clean look and feel now with a white background, not too much going on with it. Very similar to the last design. It has your alerts as the home page. And this is so that you know exactly what's kind of outstanding, what's happening with your locations or your specific location. You can either click on the alerts to act on them, or we'll take you through the menu here, which is these three bars in the upper left here. There's several different features, many of them that are similar to the old NSF Online, so we didn't want to remove anything from that system, but a lot of them are enhanced and improved upon. One of them that's a little fancier, I guess, than what we've had in the past is kind of a snapshot of some kind of historical information or just kind of trending information. So we set up a default here of corrective actions so we could see how many are approved, closed but not approved, dropped, pending, and submitted, so we can have an overall feel of what the stats are for that, and as well as the audit status, how many have been submitted, or are they still not in created status, that kind of a thing here. One of the benefits of this new NSF Online is individuals, users, will have the ability to have more flexibility to create their own views. So you can see here this create new snapshot view. So that will allow us to really dig in and see what kind of snapshots would you want to see. Now certainly we can take that information and build that for you, and then deliver that to all of the different users as well. So that's something that we can certainly work with you on. In our site menu, you can, if you have a corporate access, look at all of the different locations. One of the benefits to the search results pages that you would see here is any time where you have a cell with this magnifying glass lookup, you can start typing in that and it will filter the search results based on your typing. So for example, if we wanted to look at all of the sites in Michigan, we would just start typing the abbreviation for Michigan, and those locations would populate here. And we can do those in all of these columns. These 3 bars in each column are how you could sort, ascending or descending. There's also additional filter options where we could filter it further through this way, rather than through that magnifying glass box. It also gives the columns, and if you wanted to remove some of the columns, you could remove those here to just have that information show. Additionally, we're trying to be very conscious of making sure that not only is the information available to you in our system, but something that you can export from our system, provide internally wherever you need to send that information. So we've included export PDF, export Excel, and print features here on every screen, basically, so you have that access and availability at your fingertips. In addition to what information we see here, so we have just an active site populate from the default, basically. So when we went to sites, this is what came up, and you'll see this is starred. What that means is basically that's the default view. However, we can, again, set up different views to customize what you are looking for particularly. So right now we have all facilities, and we have active sites here as our favorites. So if I go to this view, which is shared across all users, that's basically a default that NSF created. It would give everything, no matter what the status. Possibly it was inactive, we dropped it, we don't do business with that location anymore. So then this customized view that's been starred is now become the default for Federal Mogul, and it's the active sites. So we can, however, customize that and create new views ourselves here. We create new view, title it however we want to. We can also have the option to make it an alert, so it will show up on your alerts page, and even choose the color of what you want the alert to be colored as. And then we can enter the search criteria here, what we want this to be, choose any additional filters. One of the things that I think Diane found very useful is that we have the customization to be able to put in whatever columns we want in those search results, basically, and also order them in whatever order we want. So you can see these are all the selected fields that would be in our new list, and we can, by clicking on the arrows, move them up and down. So this would be something that appears in the far left, and this last one would appear in the far right column. So, and we can also remove anything that we wouldn't want to appear, or add anything that we would want to appear. We also have options of how we want it to be defaulted to sort. And then we can restrict our visibility. So if this is something you think no one else, none of the other Federal Mogul users would find this beneficial, I want it only visible to me. Or you think it might be beneficial to other users, you can make it visible to all other users or certain users, and then create view. And then you can see that in my views, this new site view has been added here. So if there's any that we want to get a little bit more complex, we can certainly work with myself and Lydia in our IT department to customize that for you as well, so that we can make sure it's exactly what you want and what will be helpful and useful to you. So in addition to this the View section here in green, you'll also see the Advanced Search section. So if we're a corporate user, we have access to a lot of different facilities. This can be helpful if you're trying to search for particular facilities here rather than using the filter. It's just kind of a preference there whether you would use the search criteria or the filtering. One of the things here is we can use the search criteria and say we want to search for all facilities in the United States and kind of get that search criteria. Then we can save as view and save the search criteria as a new view. So that will come up back to our creative view where we would enter that information. So if you find yourself commonly searching for the same information over and over again, instead of having to repeat those searches, what we've done here is you can do that search basically once, save it as a view, and then you would just go back and pull that view down from My View and select that. So you could even set it as a default too. So if I wanted my newly created view to be marked as default, I would select the star. It marks it as default. And then anytime I would go to search site, my site view then would populate instead of the old default. So it's a lot more flexible. It's a lot more customizable. And we're really hoping that you all will like this. So next up we have the audit section. So this is something where we can look at all of our audits. Here we have our completed audit set as a default with that star. However, we have created a lot of different views as the NSF views basically, so that we have upcoming audits, scheduled and upcoming audits, all completed audits, audits current year, audit dates required. So a lot of different things here where we thought maybe we should default this as multiple users or clients would find it beneficial. Then we can also create specific views for Federal Mogul, or you can create your own views as well. So we're still kind of tweaking these as we come up with them to find out what is most beneficial to the users, because it's such a new feature. We really want people to kind of use them, get used to them to see what is most beneficial. So we can certainly add more views, and again, we have the option to here do that advanced search as well. Search for any particular criteria. If we wanted all created audits, we could search here, populate these results, and then save as view. And again, we'd get to save that information here, make it an alert, customize who sees it, customize how we want it to look, and that sort of a thing. So you'll get a feel that many of the pages are very similar. So we have that same views in the green here and the advanced search here. Any of the columns have that filtering option. And that sortability as well. From this section, if you're looking at a specific audit, you can click on the audit code, and that will bring you to the actual kind of audit itself, where you get the audit information of what standard, who the auditor was, what the date was. We did note that this was missing at this point, but we do have IT working on that diligently. Any of that site information, the contact information, basically the previous audit history as well. And we can download the audit report right from here. And also look at the corrective actions. So in this case, we didn't have any corrective actions on this one. And we can go back to our audit page. So you can see that I'm using this arrow with a loop back for my back button, and it does take you back to that location you were on before. Also, in this completed audits, you can see where the CAR statuses are. So if there are any pending that need to be acted on or submitted that NSF needs to act on, you can see that kind of at a glance as well, and then can dig into that further for that information. That's where you could look at that corrective action with that information and check the status and the details of that. The next section is corrective actions. So this one we have defaulted to pending corrective actions with that star, but we also set up several other views for submitted corrective actions, rejected corrective actions, additional information, those kind of statuses. So if we look at pending corrective actions, we could download the report, which IT is also working on that error. And then we can look at the audit here by clicking on this hyperlink or the corrective action number here. So we could look at that as well. So one of the major things that users are in NSF Online is for the corrective action review and submittal. So it's very similar to what it was before, where we have the root cause analysis, corrective action plan, preventive action plan, responsible person, and completion date. That's all mandatory with the red asterisk that needs to be filled in before it can be submitted. Additionally, we have the spot for uploading. Probably the most common thing that's missed in a corrective action submittal is the evidence, especially for IATF. So uploading that is critical. And then we would save and submit that information. It would also show you the corrective action history down here of what the status changes were and if there are any reviewer comments as well. So we really have tried not to make any major changes to some of these screens because we know the look and feel is a different thing to get used to. And we really want to make it just really as smooth and as streamlined as possible. So much of this information, we're asking for all the information, it just looks a little bit different. So it still functions in the same way. The next menu is the certificates. So we have that starred for the different certificates. But if you maybe are just interested in the EMS certificates, you can set up specific views based on that standard, and we can create views to just show you the EMS information, or conversely, if you're just interested in the IATF information, we could set up any views just specific to IATF as well. So that really cuts down in the information that you really have to dig through to get what you need. And here we would be able to just click on the link to the certificate and get that right away as well. So the report section is also a little bit newer, different from the classic view of NSF Online. And what we've done here is try to make some dashboards to help kind of monitor some of the different information that might be helpful to federal and local as a whole. So we've got different car types by country, and then top 10 cars by clause here. And we can change that by specific date range if we wanted to do for a certain year, or specific facilities or countries, or even particular standards. So if we wanted to do TS-IATF, we could take a look at that specifically, and then through today's date, just to kind of get the historical information. So sometimes it's helpful to know what your organization continually kind of gets written up for. We also have the audit distribution dashboard, which gives how many audits are performed within each month, and then also a comparison of Federal Mogul versus the industry, and this is by specific NACE codes here. So we can say by clause, how does Federal Mogul compare to other organizations in the industry? The next menu item is the invoice section. So this is where we have starred pending invoices here, but we can, again, look at another view of those that have been all invoiced, basically, or even create an advanced search and look by amount or balance if we're looking for a particular invoice there. For those with administrative access, administrators are able to manage users, so they are able to get requests to add users, and they can add users here. I won't add one here because this is the production environment, so I don't want to add anyone that doesn't need to be added here, but we can walk through that for sure if there's any questions on that. We can also search for users and make some updates here. So right now we've got all active users highlighted here as the default. Additionally, there is announcements section up here, so that will highlight important new information that NSF has provided, either via a webinar or a press release or some kind of information like that. So our most recent one is that we have a new IATF upgrade planner and Delta checklist that's available. We made a little tweak to that, so going forward we want everyone to use that one. We also have our help information here, which provides a help guide to walk you through some of the common questions, the common issues that we have with NSF Online, so that if there's any questions on how to do some things, how to pull data, this is a nice kind of snapshot of that information. But again, if you have any questions, please reach out to Lydia or myself, and we can certainly walk you through it one-on-one. So going back to our alerts page, as you saw, we did have places where we could add alerts here. So if you find that beneficial to yourself, if you're commonly in all the time, you can create alerts for yourself here, or you can have NSF do that as well. So overall, there's really just a lot more flexibility in what you can see at your fingertips, what you have access to. If you only want to see specific information for your facility, only the standard that you are working with, we can set that up as well. So I'm very excited about some of these new offers. And I think at this point, we'll open it up for questions. Have we received any for the chat? No, nothing from the chat yet. Just a reminder that this will go live Friday night, so basically Monday morning when you come in, you will get that new web page. This will be the new landing page when you go to log into NSF Online. You use your same username and password. That hasn't changed at all. And then when you log in, it'll direct you to the new NSF Online. If you have questions or can't find something and you want to go to the Classic View, there will be a Classic View button in the upper right-hand corner, and it will direct you to the Classic View. And then you can jump back to the 2.0 view once you've kind of sorted through that and figured it out. Are there any questions on the phone? Okay. We'll unmute.
The conference has been muted. The conference has been muted.
Again, we will be sending out this recording to all of the Federal Mogul users in case anyone needs a refresher or for those who missed it. And
Christy,
I think that brings it to a close. So we
Christy?
appreciate everyone joining us, and thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.